Welcome to the Sales Acceleration Show. And today I've invited Frank Maene, who's the CEO of Volta Ventures, and we're going to discuss what a VC or a venture capitalist fund is looking into SaaS, and not only SaaS companies, but also deep tech. But before we go there, maybe you explain to our viewers in 2 minutes what do you guys do, or what you do actually.
In 2 minutes. So we're a seed and early stage. We're a seed and early stage venture capital fund. So we invest in starting companies that start in the Benelux. Start in the Benelux, but immediately have from day one international ambitions. We only do SaaS and deep tech software and internet businesses. And we typically invest between 300,000 and 2 million to start.
Yeah, and so let's start with SaaS,
but
maybe.
Moreover than cash, we also try to help with bringing people like yourself on board for sales training, finance training, HR training, stuff like that.
I also think that the true value is not only cash, it's a lot more. It's the network, it's the expertise you bring along. So, what do you expect? What are you looking for? Because I always find it intriguing. You see a lot of companies. You told me once you saw last year 2,000 startups.
The team together we received 2,700 plans.
So what are you looking for then? What do you want them to be? What would be the dream profile?
Yeah, the dream profile. The super sales guy who's super in finance, who's super in product development. But that doesn't exist.
But let's flip it. What would be your advice if you come and present for you? What are you looking for? What do you want to see?
Well, we want to see first of all a passionate, smart team. It all starts there. All the rest follows. Secondly, we like to see a large addressable market, target addressable market.
Yes. You told me once that that's one of the key factors. It's the large addressable market.
Yes.
That's where you really...
Team is 1, addressable market 2, competitive position 3.
But what I see a lot of these presentations, they all have these massive markets. They always come like 2 billion market, 300 million. You immediately start cutting there and start...
you start cutting, but
most of them don't know.
But if they start at 1 million, then we say, well, no, it's not for us. It's not for us.
So, okay, so you have those 3, and then what next? So you let them speak, you let them come, and then you start probing and figuring out if it would make sense or not? Or?
Well, we start probing to see how smart they are, how responsive they are. If I ask them 10 questions to, pressure them a little bit, and 10 times they say, Frank, you're right, I didn't think of that, then they're too weak. If 10 times they say, Frank, you're totally wrong, then they're too stubborn. There has to be some pushback, but it has to be smart pushback.
But could it be also your character that you're pushing that way? Because I know you're pretty alpha strong. You just want to feel the power.
You want to feel the power of the people. Also, customers are also not pushovers. So if they can't get past me, they won't get past the customer, is my thought. So they have to survive me.
I have the same with sales guys. When I hire, if they have to say, I have to get them to a point where they dare to say no to me. If they say no,
correct.
I know it has something.
Correct.
Okay,
absolutely.
And then what's next? What happens next? So they do the presentation, you start pushing, probing, and then you go to the financials, or you do next meetings. What happens next?
Well, we talk about financials, but that's very basic. What is your burn rate? How many people do you have in the team? What's your burn rate today? And surprisingly, quite some startups are not aware of their burn rate. We like to see...
Do you go to cost of acquisition, or that's too early?
That's too early, because we invest seed and early, it's too early. They don't know yet.
So I should stop talking about it.
When we invest, typically they don't know.
Okay.
They don't know, typically. It's too soon. Typically it's even pre-revenue sometimes. In SaaS, we like them to do 25,000 MRR, ideally. And then it's still a little bit early to have the right numbers, the right metrics. We expect them 12 months later to have those metrics, of course, but not when we invest. So we like to know what's your team like, what is your MRR like today, what's your burn rate, what's your ideal customer profile, what's your average deal value, and then very often people say, well, I don't know. I say, well, then we have a problem. But I sell to small businesses, I sell to large businesses, and it's a bit of a challenge. Perhaps you should pick small, medium, or large, and they need to have some thought about that.
Do you ask questions like sales model? So that's sales model. Do you ask a question like sales strategy, all the strategy stuff, or you kind of stay away from that, or that's like sidetracked?
We like to get a feel, but again, we typically invest very early, and they're still learning.
And then you ask the questions. What would you do with the money?
Yeah, sure.
Because I've seen some guys say, what would you do with the money? Like, we actually don't know. Yeah, we're going to grow. Yeah, that's way too vague, right?
No, we need to know how you're going to spend it. Are you going to spend it on product development? Are you going to spend it on sales, marketing, which mix?
Do you have a preference or not? You want them to go more sales or more product? Or
Well, typically, when the earlier stage, the more money is spent in product development, and research and development. In a second stage, when they grow up, it's more sales and marketing. Yeah. And a third stage, when they're really big, G&A also becomes more important.
Let's quickly jump to deep tech, because you don't hear that a lot. Could you give an example what that is, so people understand what you mean with deep tech?
Well, deep tech is technology where IP is important. Yep. Not all SaaS companies rely on their valuation, on their value on IP, but deep tech companies, they rely on IP. University spin-offs are the best example of that.
You have one of Sentience, you guys
invest in Sentience, yes. So we typically don't do university spin-offs, but that's very IP heavy. Yeah. So very IP heavy, PhDs, complex algorithms, also companies that potentially large organizations may want to acquire, not because of the revenue and
purely technology
and the developers, the team.
But then it's a completely different style of approach, because they will consume a lot of cash, I guess, without revenue against it.
Absolutely. Much longer sales cycle, much longer deal values, bigger development teams, It's different.
It's different.
SaaS and deep tech are two different.
Isn't the Benelux then rather limiting to find these companies? Or is it just an idea?
No, we've done a few in the past. No, not at all. Yeah.
So if I jump to sales and marketing, because we are in the sales acceleration show, what's the thing what annoys you the most? So once you've invested, what's the thing that you really think, guys, there must be a pattern. I mean, you and we talk, there is a pattern in what I hear you complaining to me, so I'm thinking...
Forecasts.
Forecasts.
Yeah, it's always wrong. And it will always be wrong.
It's difficult.
It's very difficult, but typically before we invest, we divide the forecast by 2, by 4, and even sometimes put it to 0, because again, we invest very early.
But you would be okay if somebody comes up to you and says, my forecast is actually like that, but this is the plan. Because I think they want to be proud, they want to show all the stuff they do. I think that's where the mistake goes. The real sales guy, they'll polish it. I would polish it.
You know what BANT is?
Yeah. The BANT criteria, for those who don't know what it is.
Do you have the budget, authority, need, timing? Do you have all these things? Yeah. Very often they don't. Then it's not a prospect, and then we have to disqualify them. Also, you can't invest in a company assuming they're going to do $1 million in revenue and $1 million in costs. Then they break even. They're not going to do the $1 million in revenue.
No.
So we like to be a little bit more pessimistic, so that when there are delays, and there will be delays, that they don't go bankrupt, basically.
Is the keyword predictability? You want them to learn, even if it's bad, or just to be right?
They have to be realistic in forecasting.
That's what you want.
So it's better to forecast 2 deals and make 2 deals rather than forecast 20 deals and only do 1 deal. It's much better to forecast 2 and close 2.
What's the other one? Forecast is a big issue.
Forecast is a big issue. It comes back to focus also. Are you talking to the right prospects?
And not trying everything.
In the beginning you have to
you
have to figure out what your target market is, but are you talking to the right prospects? How do you approach the prospects? Do you, again, back to forecasting, but I'm coming into your domain now. Do you step away from certain deals because you say, look, they're eating a lot of my time, but it's not going to amount to anything, so step away, dare to step away from
Can you say no?
Can you say no?
So if I then would jump, for instance, like the sales machine itself, in the beginning days, less relevant. As time goes along, you will look into the process, and it needs to be like a real proper machine.
Then it has to become a machine, but not when we invest. It's too soon. It's too soon.
So that's time. So if I would look then at marketing, because a lot of, if I go back to SaaS actually, I mean even deep tech, there's a lot of noise around marketing, and you need to make it good. What would be your advice or your biggest frustration, or is there something you say, guys, you need to take care of that?
Well, you need to be, as a founder, you need to be visible in the market.
Do you mean, because I know a lot of founders that are on stage the whole time, but for me, I sometimes tell them, look, I get it, personal branding, I get it, but it would be better if you're on stage in front of your potential crowd buying. That's something I see going wrong every single time.
Absolutely. So if you just raise some money, you don't need to spend 2-3 presentations a week to talk to the local startup community in Belgium. You should do that once in a while, but don't spend too much time on that, because 3 meetings it's 3 half days, you need to prepare, you need to be in front of customers, you need to be recruiting, you need to be busy with your product and stuff like that. But be present at tech conferences, try to be a thought leader in your segment, and you can do that by doing blogs, but also being present at events where potentially partners are going to meet you, that you could do something with, where potentially customers are going to meet you. Those are way more interesting.
Talking about partners, I know we're jumping back and forth. Do you have a preference? Direct models or indirect models or mixed models?
Mixed models.
From a VC point of view, it doesn't matter, because I know sometimes cost of acquisition is less with indirect models and you can scale faster, although you have less control.
That's my biggest concern. You don't have control. And again, we invest very early. The startups have not proven a lot. So it's a bit, and that's one of the things that I often see. How are you going to sell? We're going to go with partners. I say, but partners are not going to do anything because you don't mean anything yet today, so you're going to have to do it for them.
And then it takes them 9 months to find a partner, and then that partner will go to a new market, so add another 9 months, and you've lost 18 months.
And how do you stay top of mind at a partner? Because they sell 5, 6, 7 products. How do you stay top of mind? Not just by leaning back, you have to work for them. So that's indirect. In the beginning, they need to do their own thing. The first 10 customers they have to do themselves. Partners are not going to be of any help.
Okay. I think so. You have because we're getting to the end of the show. Do you have like a final advice, guys? Just keep that in mind. For instance, one of the things I keep saying is, if you would ask me in sales, what's the most important? I would say it's consistency. Don't give up. Every day the calls, every day the emails. Keep pushing the boundary, and eventually you'll get there, because it's just you build a big mountain, and it will at a certain stage you'll get the deals. Do you have like advice like that where you say?
Be realistic.
Be realistic.
You have to be optimistic because you're a founder, you're an entrepreneur, you're a sales guy, you're optimistic by definition. But you have to have a plan that's somewhat realistic, because your runway depends, how long are you going to survive with the money in the bank, depends on how well you are qualifying things.
And there is a realism to make the plan around.
Be realistic. It's not because people didn't say no to you that they're going to buy from you. So be a little bit more realistic.
Okay, perfect. So you've heard, be realistic. With that, if you like the show, give it a thumbs up. If you want to know a lot more, subscribe to the show. And Frank, thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.